All right, hello everybody. This is Robert with the Space Coast Rocket. We're coming to you live again because, as we learned earlier, it wasn't just one person that was the hero. There were two heroes. So about an hour ago, we talked to Don Cobb, who was the one of the people that jumped in to save Gerald, who had crashed his truck into the Pineda or off of Pineda Causeway into the Indian River Lagoon. And while we were interviewing Don, he told us about a young woman who jumped in to help him. There were a lot of people watching, but he jumped in, and another man jumped in, but wasn't able to assist the way he wanted to. But there was another woman that jumped in, who was just instrumental in saving Gerald, is the name of the guy. And she's got an update about him too. But without further ado, I just want to introduce you guys to a hometown hero, and her name is Ariana. Ariana, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm great. You've had a busy day. Anything happened today?
Yes, there was an accident on Pineda. I usually take Pineda to get to work. And it was just a normal day. I was just in my car driving to work, and all of a sudden had to slam on the brakes and almost got into a sandwich of an accident. Um,
Right.
I saw a bunch of people onlooking to the water, and I was, wondering what was going on. I didn't put two and two together, but I had saw the guardrail that was broken,
Right.
and then a bunch of debris in the road that everybody had to maneuver around. Um, After maneuvering around some of the debris, I had pulled over to see what everybody was looking at, and I saw a white truck submerged into the water probably about halfway at the point when I got there.
And so you didn't actually see the accident when it happened. You kind of came up like, what's going on? Everybody's
Yeah.
traveling around, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm going to play a quick video here.
Coming out of the middle. He's right there. He's right there. He's right. He's coming. There.
That's the truck going down, right? But here's the second video.
I need to break a window to get him out.
Right here. Who's that person there on the left there that we see in the video?
That is me.
That is you. So you jumped into the water. What led you to make this decision? So you stop, you see what's going on, you see that there's this truck sinking into the water. What compelled you to be the one to jump in there and do something?
When I parked my car on the side of the road, I saw the vehicle there, but I kind of assumed with the amount of people that were around that he was probably amongst them, or he already got out, because it kind of seemed everybody was in I don't want to say calm demeanor, but just not, it didn't seem like a pressing issue in my
Right.
eyes from what I just saw for the first 10 seconds. When I came, I kind of walked down there and I asked everybody, is somebody in there? I was trying to figure out what was going on, where I couldn't really get an answer. Somebody said yes. Somebody was like, I don't know. So I really didn't know, but I just had a feeling to run back to my car and try to find something to break a window in case there was somebody
Right.
in the vehicle.
Right.
So I went into my trunk. I didn't find anything that I thought would be good, for use. So I ran back to the edge. I don't know what you would call that, but the edge where all the barnacles are, like that 3 or 4 foot drop.
Yeah.
I ran back there. I kind of felt goofy for running because I didn't really know what was going on. But in probably another 10 seconds, the lady brought out a I don't know what it's called, but something to break the window. She's like, "This breaks the window."
Yeah.
And I just looked at her, I grabbed it, and I jumped into the water before I could even think about it.
Now, are you a lifeguard, or like what? Do you have any kind of training into like water rescue, or?
No, none at all.
So you're just like, I'm doing it.
Yeah, I'm actually really afraid of the water. I'm like, everybody kind of makes fun of me. I don't get in the water. I get in a pool if it's lit up, but I don't get into any bodies of water.
And so there you are, you see this truck into the Indian River Lagoon, which a lot of people don't get into the Indian River Lagoon, regardless of if there's a truck.
I heard the bull sharks breed in there. I was terrified.
Yeah, there's sharks in there. There's sharks in there. There's gators in there. I don't know
Oh
if there's
God.
lions or tigers, but come on. And you got it. And you got in there. Okay, so you get in there. The lady's giving you this tool. You jump in. So did you see Don? Was Don already in the water at this time?
Yes, I believe Dawn got in from my recollection. I believe when I went back to because there was nobody in the water when I ran back to my trunk. So I think while I was in my trunk looking for something, I believe that's when Dawn got in there.
Gotcha.
Unless I didn't see him. Everything happened so fast.
Yeah.
So it could be completely different. But I didn't see anybody there. I ran back. When I came back, Dawn was in there. Pretty much yelling for help from what I remember. Like, basically everybody was just kind of watching, and he was the only one out there. And when I got there, the last thing I remember before jumping into the water was Gerald showing himself through the tiny little window in the back as the truck was sinking and he went underwater.
And that's a lot of people don't realize what we're talking about when we're talking about, but it's the little window here. I don't know if it's showing up on the screen, but it's in the back, right? That little square window that's in a lot of the back pickup trucks there. And so you could see him there, but the doors were locked, right? Is that right?
Yes, I believe so. I saw the interview you did with Don, and I think he said they were locked. I went straight for the bed of the truck, or what I believe to be the bed of the truck, where I saw his hands sticking out.
Okay. And so then what happened? So Don says that this was a pretty big guy. Was that your recollection as well?
Yeah, I believe him to be probably approximately 6 foot, maybe taller, around 280 pounds.
Wow. So he's a big man, man.
Yes.
And how tall are you? How big are you?
I'm about 5'7".
About 5'7". Okay. All right. And if you don't mind me asking, how old are you, Ariana?
I am 28 years old.
28 years old. Okay. And is this your normal route to work that you take every day? Do you go down Pineda all the time?
Yes, I do, but I normally don't work Saturday mornings. I believe at Cadillac Cove, where I work, I have worked one Saturday morning in the past 8 months, and this was kind of a random thing for me to be out there going to work on this Saturday.
Well, thankfully, and I'm sure Gerald appreciates it too, that you were going to work that day. Because I don't know that Gerald's here if you weren't there. To be honest with you, just listening to the story about what Don said would happen and what the deputy that was there, I think it took all three of you at a minimum, to save Gerald. And so we're looking at this video again, and that truck is going down.
Yeah.
Right?
The truck was completely submerged at this point.
And what's going through your mind right now as this is happening?
So at this point, I believe the truck was completely submerged, and I had him by his belt, trying to pull him, and it wasn't working to no avail. I ended up grabbing his head, and I was trying to shield the incoming waves that kept on splashing over him because he was aspirating, and I was trying to clear the water out of his mouth. So was Dawn. It kind of seemed like, how would you call it? I did not think the outcome was going to be with Gerald surviving at this point. He was blue, purple, all different shades of color he's not supposed to be.
Yeah.
And he was unresponsive, and he was stuck in that window. And previously I had that window breaker, but I ended up dropping it while I was trying to pull him out of that window.
And do you remember if anyone else was trying to help? Was anyone else trying to get into the water or anything like that? Do you recall?
Yeah, I actually passed by. There was another gentleman that jumped in right before me, and we swam by each other.
Okay.
Yes.
Gotcha. All right. So he's going down. The truck is going down. You've got your arm in this little window grabbing his belt. Mm-hmm. And you're trying to keep his head above water, mm-hmm. and you're trying to come up with a plan, I guess, Like, how are we going to get this guy out of here? This 6', 280-pound guy. We got to get him through this little 16-inch or whatever the size may be
Right.
window. What happens? How do you even know how you got him out?
So at one point when I thought things were becoming worse and I didn't know the outcome, but I didn't think it was going to be good, Don just yells, "Pray." And he yelled it loud. And
Yeah.
I heard him and I just started praying over Gerald. I just asked God to please help us in this situation. It seemed like nothing else could help but God at that
Yeah.
point. And that's when I realized that the deputies were there. The EMT was on site, I believe. And an officer jumped in. When he jumped in, he was able to hold Gerald's head above water.
Uh-huh.
And I went underwater to pull him out. And that is when he came. I have no idea how. I have no idea. Gerald was stuck in there. Stuck. I was worried about the pressure on his abdomen.
Yeah.
Because of that window, because there was so much pressure. He was not budging.
And so the deputy gets in there, he's holding his head up, and then you're like, I'm going under. So you dove under the water that you're afraid of.
Yeah.
That you're fearful of with the sharks and everything else.
Yes.
And you're like, I'm doing it.
Yeah.
So you reach down in there, and somehow you get a hold of something, I guess, and you're able to finagle him out of that window.
Yep, I was able to grab his belt and somehow pull him out. I have no idea how, but I was screaming underwater.
Wow.
Quite literally screaming underwater. I gave it everything I had. I had nothing else to give. I was completely depleted of energy at that point. I'm asthmatic. I was starting to have an asthma attack while we were swimming with him back to shore. So it got pretty crazy.
And you have asthma?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So just so many things that you overcame and put yourself at risk for this complete stranger.
Yeah.
Okay, so you get him out. You guys have got him out of the truck. What happens next? Now you got to get him to the shore, right?
Yes.
Talk to me about that. How did that happen?
So when we were swimming back, I was holding Gerald's head and swimming backwards, and it was, I believe, for everybody, very tough. He was probably about, I would say, 20-ish feet away from the wall. He's a big dude. We are all tired, and we were swimming with him. When we got him there, he was floating,
right,
himself, I believe, and still unconscious. And we got him upright, and they had one of his arms, and they needed his other arm, and I was right there, so I went back underwater and pushed up off of, I believe the barnacles were on the ground, but I pushed up off the barnacles and gave my last effort to get him up and out, and they were able to pull him from then, and they pulled him up and then pulling me up.
And I just want people to fully appreciate the physical demand that is, because let me see if I can just find a good photo here. I mean, so this is a photo of the truck being pulled out. But
that's the side that I jumped from.
Okay, so you jumped from this side, but you guys pulled him out on this side, is that right?
On the further side, yes.
Okay. So from this water line to the top, they call this a seawall.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, to the top of this seawall where you guys had to get him, it's about 3 feet plus. So your small self and Don, who's exhausted as well, as long as with the deputy who had to swim there and help drag him who knows how many yards here, now has to physically lift this humongous man, 6 foot, 280 pounds, up into the sky, right?
Yeah.
To get him up on that wall.
Yeah.
So you mentioned the barnacles. So there's barnacles around, this wall here.
Everywhere.
And so did you have your shoes on at all?
I jumped in with my shoes on, but they one fell off, so I had one shoe and one sock on. So I got cut up more on my shins than anything. My feet aren't too bad, but my shins did get the brunt of it.
Well, I think we'll be able to get you some new shoes. So make sure you give us your shoe size. I'm sure there's somebody going to want to buy you some shoes to replace those. All right. So you guys, you get them up there miraculously. There's so many miracles that are going on here.
Insane.
And you guys get them up on there. So what's going on? So now everybody's, I guess, crowding around to try to help. Now that they've got them on, they're getting ready to take them to the hospital. What happens?
So they pulled him up and then they pulled me up and I swung around and was holding Gerald's head. And he was gasping and had labor breathing and I was just well, actually, first I was at his feet and we were turning him over because he kept on throwing up the water that has been in his lungs and in his body. So while we were doing that, I was hitting on his legs, just calling his name. And they put the defib on him and we were doing compressions and just trying to get him to become responsive. But at that time, he was not responsive at all. After that happened, I'm not sure how, but I got to Gerald's head and I was holding him sideways on his head so he could get rid of the salt water that was in his mouth coming out of his nose and mouth. And the EMT handed me the oxygen mask and we put it on and it kept on filling up with water. So I was getting the water out of there and rubbing his chest and he had opened his eyes and
Wow.
he just had his eyes. I will never forget his face. His
How
salt
did you
pepper
feel?
beard.
When his eyes opened and he saw you, what did that make you feel like?
I was happy. I was scared, but I was trying to keep it cool for Gerald because I know he's way more scared than I am at this point. And I was just trying to comfort him and give him reassurance that it's okay and we are gonna, figure this out together and we got you and it's okay now because he kept on trying to get up a little bit. He was completely in shock. I looked at him and I said, Gerald, if you can hear me, can you blink? And he blinked. And just this big, long blink. And he was just completely out of it. I don't even know if the blink was for me. He could have just been blinking.
And you got, a lot of people don't realize when you're dealing with, a trauma patient, sometimes they don't know what happened, right?
Right.
As far as we know, Gerald had some kind of medical episode where he might have passed out before he even had the accident. So he's not aware of going into the river or any of these things. All he knows is he was driving. And now he wakes up and he's surrounded by all these people and he can't breathe and things like that.
Yeah. I kind of figured there might have been Jackson. I kind of figured it might have been a medical emergency because when I had him in the water, me and Don, I felt him convulsing and I believed it to be possible seizure.
Yeah.
I have no idea if that is the case or not. I'm not a doctor, but that's what I thought it was at first. Just my first initial response was that. So I kind of figured maybe that would be the cause of him driving off the road because at work people were talking about it and they said they saw him and it was just driving normal and then all of a sudden went to the right and went off.
And so they got him in the ambulance. They transported him to the hospital, and then you went to work like it's just a normal day, huh?
Yeah, I walked into work soaking wet. My manager was asking me, like, are you okay? Are you okay to work? And I was like, I just need a dry shirt and some shoes. So we set up everything for open and I went to Walmart and got dry clothes to wear for work and proceeded to work 9 hours.
So we need to get you some shoes and we need to get you a new shirt. All right, we got it. So you get to work, you go through your normal shift, and then you get a call. Who called you? Was it the sheriff's deputies that called you to let you know about Gerald?
Yeah, I've been talking to them periodically through the day. They were wondering if I had Dawn's information, and at that point, we didn't exchange information.
Yeah.
I left when they got him onto the gurney to pull him up. So I left and went to work. At that point, I felt secure in the abilities of the officers and the EMT, all the first responders to handle it from there. They did a great job. Don did a great job. Everybody did a great job. Gerald may have not been here if it wasn't for every single one of us. Everybody that did something saved this man's life.
There's no doubt about it that you guys saved that man's life, and I don't say it lightly. Had it not been for you and Don and the sheriff deputy, I don't think that Gerald would be here right now. So it's great news to hear that he's recovering. He's in the ICU, I understand. And the fact that he was able to, open his eyes and kind of acknowledge you is great news.
Yeah.
Because that lets us know that he still has some cognitive ability, right?
Yeah.
So there's sometimes people make it and they don't have much life ahead of them, but it sounds like you guys got there in time to save him. As much of Gerald that is still there is there because of you guys.
Yeah.
So that's
absolutely.
It's just incredible. So I want to say thank you on behalf of the community, on behalf of my family. I got my daughter sitting here watching because I want her to see what a great woman is like, that jumps in, and puts herself on the line for others. It's the ultimate duty. It's the ultimate sacrifice, and you did it just because you're a good person.
I really don't think I had any say so in it. My mind and my body had no choice. I was in the water before I could even think. So it wasn't a decision, really. It was just an instinct, I guess. It just overtook me. I had no fear until I got into the water, and I was like, what the heck am I doing?
What did I do?
My mind was playing tricks on me because all of his stuff from the bed of his truck, it was in the water and it was hitting me in my legs, and I thought I saw a shark fin. My mind's playing tricks on me, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is crazy.
Maybe it was a dolphin trying to help you guys out.
Probably, because it was a far swim. I mean, I'm a good swimmer. I can swim. I, had swimming lessons. I've been swimming my whole life in pools, and beaches until I watched Jaws. But so it was by the time I got there, and I'm sure Dawn too, we were probably already fairly tired at that point too. I know.
Yeah.
I was.
Well, thank God for you guys. Don wanted me, I talked to him right before we came on now. He wanted me to express his gratitude to you as well. He lives down in Vero Beach and just happened to be at the right place at the right time, here today too. So thankfully, everything came together just the way it needed to be in order for you guys to have such an impact today.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to share with us before we let you go?
I just wanted to say to Gerald, if he ever sees this, or any of his family, that God bless you guys, and I am so happy that he is alert and speaking and alive today. And thank you, Dawn, and to all the sheriffs and EMT that were there to help, because this could have been drastically different if we weren't all there. And I just really appreciate every single one of us.
And what's your future? What's your plans in life? What do you want to do?
I want to open up a animal shelter, rehabilitation center for abused animals that have bad raps, specifically aggressive breed animals, or deemed aggressive animals. There's no bad animals. There's only inexperienced, uneducated people. Well,
you're in the right county for that. I saw the sheriff had recently shared the story on his Facebook page, and he's a big advocate for the animals in our community, and I'm sure he's going to hear about this and want to partner with you and do what he can to help you live that dream. So you just sound like a great person, Ariana. I'm very thankful to have met you. I'm thankful that you're a member of our community, and I hope more people see this and can learn from your example and just be like you, be like Ariana.
Thank you.
So thanks for joining us tonight. Thank you guys all for watching again. And I love to be able to share, great news stories like this with a great outcome. And we're going to follow up with Gerald and make sure that he's doing okay. And once he's willing and able to talk, we're going to get with him and find out what we can do to help him.
Yeah, well. Absolutely. I would love to be a part of that as well.
Yeah, we'll absolutely make that happen and make sure he gets what he needs to get back on his feet as well.
Yeah.
So again, thank you so much, and thank you guys for watching, and everybody have a great night.
Thank you.